Guys, it's AJ, your favorite lesbian commentary YouTuber, and today we're traveling down memory lane, checking up on an old friend. If you remember last week, I interviewed a former friend of Toya's, and they gave some really good insight on him, so make sure if you haven't that you go watch that video. And today we're going to see what has he been up to. Before we get started, I want to shout out my patrons over on Patreon. Thank you. So that's Lizzie for the guy, Shanice, Adam, Iron, Emily, Arbigo, Jerosal, Lysandra, Carrie, Escalade, Catherine, Adrian, Oasis, Mewtwo, Hayden, Lost Ross, Cornstar, Glenn, and Evie. Thank you so much for your support.
When you have family members that have money while you don't, you get really, really familiar with the face of evil. There was one time I had asked my aunt, who's a doctor, if she could buy me a TV because...
So his mom's a doctor and his aunt's a doctor. Okay.
Because poor people deserve to watch TV. Hello. And you know what she told me? She told me that...
I'm going to assume the answer is no.
I had to promise to her that I would exercise for 30 minutes a day so that she would buy me the TV. And of course I wanted the TV, and I said, yeah, sure. And she sent me the TV, and then I promptly blocked her. This was back in 2022, I believe. And I recently unblocked her to send her the GoFundMe for Nakakande and her family. And she read it. She didn't respond. So I messaged her again. I'm like, if you saw my last message, please respond. And she said, yes, I saw it, but I cannot give. And I said, okay, and put her back on blocked. When you...
Mind you, it's not his money. Mind you, it's somebody else's money that they got from their job. Was it kind for his aunt to say that he needs to work out in order to get a TV? No. That was actually kind of mean. But it was probably coming from a good place, but it's definitely something that you just don't say to people. Like, you just don't say something like that to people. It's rude. But does that mean that makes her evil? No. You got that TV, didn't you? Like...
Having been in relationship to so many parents, including my own parents, to so many birth givers, has me realizing more and more that people need to grieve the violence of patriarchy in order to build something else. Okay. Birth giving under patriarchy is very traumatic for many women, or, you know, birth givers who have relationships to cis men. Those relationships were very traumatic and happen to produce a child.
For a lot, not all. Let's remember, some people out here are actually straight and like having sex with men. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why. I wouldn't know. Don't tell Lizzie. Don't tell her.
Abandonment when you have a child is very, very traumatic. So I'm not discounting, you know, the trauma of these experiences. I've had to grieve the trauma as well of, you know, being abandoned by my own parents because they refused to care for me.
Were you abandoned by them, or did you leave?
The ways that I needed to be cared for.
Also, your mom literally bought you a house. Your mom bought you a house. In what world is that your mother abandoning you?
But when you don't grieve the trauma of experiencing violence under patriarchy, you are going to replicate the cycle. You are, for example, going to hate yourself and hate your body as a birth giver, you know, for producing a child under a system that you cannot care for. You're going to hate the child itself rather than hating these systems that created the conditions for you to suffer. You're going to feel ashamed about talking about. You're going to be ashamed of you.
And why does it always lead back to that? I think it always leads back to with him. Everything leads back to. Everything leads back to, well, but, and if all this stuff is true, then this is why you guys don't like it when I talk about sex, because all this other stuff is true, so that's why you guys don't like it. It always leads back to that for some reason. Why is that?
No, exploring your own sexual desires under a system that taught you that your sexual desires do not matter, and that your sexuality is only good if it's producing a worker. All of those things need to be grieved in order to dismantle patriarchy.
I personally don't feel any of those things. Does that mean I have grieved the patriarchy? Because I personally do not feel that at all. I don't feel like I need to produce a worker. When when your parents were deciding to have you, were they like, I think we're ready to produce a worker. I think we're ready to produce a worker to society. Like, I'm not saying everything he's saying is wrong. I'm just saying he says it in such a weird way sometimes. Like,
otherwise, that shame is going to just be passed on and passed on and passed on and passed on.
Okay.
You're ashamed of talking to your children about but how do you think they got here? You think sex is disgusting, but what do you think a birthing process is like, if not blood and guts and the ripping of body parts and the moving of organs? It's a very gory process. It's not rainbows and sunshines and butterflies. I truly don't believe that, you as a parent, as a birth giver, are doing your children justice and truly nurturing your children if you cannot talk to them about sex, a natural process.
I think this leads back to him eventually being like, and that's why children need to watch porn. Because if they don't, then how are they gonna know? How are they gonna know that when you were giving birth to them, you ripped? Vagina to anus, you ripped. Mind you, did you know that's a thing that can happen? You can rip from to asshole when you give birth. Scary! Scary! So again, is he wrong? He's saying, okay, childbirth is a hard process that can be very gory and gutty. Gory, bloody, it can be very scary. So that means we need to talk to our young children about sex because it's also gory. I'm trying to see why the two things make sense. You see, he says he does this thing where he tests two things and tries to make comparisons out of them, and it just doesn't work because what? These two things, they are not the same.
During life, if you participate in purity culture, which involves the fetishization of innocence, that also includes the fetishization of a pregnancy. People like this be like, oh, children are a blessing, they're a blessing, they should be kept pure and innocent, but completely ignore the fact that how they came into the world wasn't pure and innocent.
You got into a car accident one time, so now I'm gonna hit you with cars forever because you got hit one time, so now you're gonna get hit for the rest of your life. I don't know how this makes any sense to him. How is he saying these words and being like, yeah, that's based? That's actually really based, you guys. Like, I think we gotta go back a little bit. I gotta go back, because what?
Of a pregnancy. People like this be like, oh, children are a blessing, they're a blessing, they should be kept pure and innocent, but completely, ignore the fact that how they came into the world wasn't pure and innocent.
Why does that mean anything? So just because you have to have sex to have a child, that child can't be pure and innocent? Like, I understand the part about how the fetishization of innocence and all this stuff and how, like, all this stuff, but I do think to some degree we should protect children. Just because they were made from doesn't mean we shouldn't protect them. You weirdo.
Somebody for those kids to be here. And you had to push.
And why is it that when you're thinking of children, the first thing you're thinking about is, and somebody to make that child. Somebody had this to make that child. Somebody did that. They did some of this. And that's how that child was made. Why are you thinking about that? When I see a child, I think, oh, adorable. Adorable. I don't see them hands and go, did you know they to make you? Did you know that he put his womp womp and her wee wee and well, she's probably reversed, right? It's his wee wee and her womp womp and that's how they made you? No! Only you think that because you're weird. No, I don't like him.
That person out of your body to be here. And on top of that, how are you afraid of your child seeing a naked female body, a naked female chest, when that's the first thing your child knew? The first thing your child knew was a naked female body when it pushed that child out. And
I I'm assuming he's talking about because he's gotten in trouble for walking around shirtless in front of children. Yeah. I'm assuming he's talking about that. But there's a difference between family members and a stranger walking around shirtless in front of a child. And if you can't see that difference, I think you have other issues going on. I grew up with a naked mom. I talked about this before. My mama, always naked. Naked mother. And to me, it's just nothing. I'm like, okay, but that does not mean that if I see somebody else naked, I'm not going to be like, ew. If as a child I saw a random adult woman naked, I probably would have been like, oh, that's gross. Or maybe not that's gross, but I would have been like, oh, let me avert my eyes, ma'am. Sorry. That has nothing to do with the innocence of children or whatever point he's trying to make.
First thing your child knew, especially if you were breastfeeding, was a female chest.
So
again,
okay, and what?
Why is it that y'all love to separate the act of sex and the act of, from giving birth? Why is it that y'all love to sanitize these natural processes? It's because of purity culture.
It's because they're children. I understand that we've got to confirm this is not a joke to him. He actually believes these things, but I cannot fathom in what world and how he does, because, like, it's a child. It's a child. It's a child. Sorry. I'm trying not to crash out, but it's just really confusing to me because how are you not seeing it? That this is so harmful. Not only if you actually end up doing something like this, but the wrong people hearing it and thinking that they're based in their beliefs because you have said it and they're like, oh, somebody out there believes it. Somebody out there thinks the same thing as me, so clearly I'm right. Like, it is not purity culture to not explain to a child exactly how they were made in the process of giving birth to them that young. They cannot handle that. Maybe some kids can, but a lot of kids cannot handle that like thinking. It'd probably be traumatizing. They'd probably feel bad about themselves. Did anybody here have a parent who constantly told them, my body was different before I had you? Didn't it make you feel like ass? To feel like you ruined your parent's body? I think it makes a kid feel really bad about them existing, to feel like their parent has to go through all that for them to be here.
I saw this video, I don't know if it's true or not, but it was stating how Trump is trying to ban fat people from immigrating to the United States. And somebody was in the comment section talking about, isn't he fat? Like, wouldn't that be banning himself? And I'm just like, yes. Like, fascists are typically people who have deep self-hatred and take it out on everybody else and make it everybody else's problem. Not only is Trump fat himself, he's also ill. He's sick. He's chronically ill. He is not well. And yet, he is making the lives of disabled and chronically ill people so much harder. Trump is also, his family are immigrants. So his wife is an immigrant. And what is he trying to do to immigrants, at least immigrants that are non-white? Eradicate them. Remove them from the U.S. I saw this.
A broken clock is right twice a day. That's a saying, right?
So just like this delivery person that chose to ignore me,
What?
I never ever ignore homeless people that live on the street when they ask me for help, because I know what it feels like to be ignored. Just tonight, I had ordered groceries and I was waiting outside for the delivery person to bring me my groceries. I intentionally wore a bright green shirt and bright green shorts. I'll literally show y'all that, right? To wait outside because I knew it's dark. Yeah. I'm dark skinned and I wanted to be seen. The delivery person is a guy, this light skinned guy who's on a bike, and he's riding his bike towards me and I'm waving to tell him, hey, it's me. He rides his bike right past me, turns the corner. He's down the block and I'm texting him, letting him know he passed me to turn around. He says, okay. So when he comes back around, I'm still calling him like, hey, he rides his bike right past me. Like, I'm standing, I'm not standing, I'm in my wheelchair in the pathway going towards the front door of the apartment complex. He rides right past me. Like, I'm calling him, he's ignoring me. he starts walking my groceries up to the front of the apartment. And it's only when I call the doorman who's looking out the window and tell him, hey, like, that's for me. It's only when the doorman gets his attention that he turns around to look at me and he says, oh, are you the person? I'm like, yes, I'm Toya. Yes. And he says, okay. And he gives me my groceries. People ignore me on a daily basis.
I would ignore you too, but that's for a different reason. I would also ignore you.
So just like this delivery person that chose to ignore me, okay, who you ignore and who you acknowledge is a reflection of who you were taught is human. So when I post about my crowd funds and I see that, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 people view my crowd fund and 10 people like it, one person comments, and 0 people donate, that is not something that I'm going to internalize. That is not something that is my fault. That is...
Nobody has money! Nobody has money. The government just woke back up. It was shut down for so long. Nobody has money for you.
A reflection of the community.
People don't have money.
And that is a reflection of who people were taught to value.
People don't have money to give you. Why is that such a crime? Why is it a crime? You don't have money. What makes you think other people have money? If you don't have money, what makes you think they have money? They don't have money either.
This is why, the genocide in Haiti and Congo and Sudan is not receiving the same level of care and attention as other genocides that are occurring around the globe. Doesn't mean that those other genocides are less important. It just means that because of anti-Blackness, because of colorism, because of featureism, because of, so many factors related to race, ability, gender, sexuality, people have been taught that there are good victims, there are people who are the deserving poor and are deserving of care, and those who aren't. Bella, discovers the fact that she can make herself come.
What is it about?
And this is just one piece of her journey towards self-actualization. Yeah. We see in the beginning of the film that she's learning how to walk. She's playing with the piano, like pressing on the keys. Right. She's exploring her environment in a multitude of different ways. Language, exactly. Music. And then we see this discovery of her body and her sexuality. Right. And I love this because it really shows, like you said, that sex is as natural as eating, as breathing, as sleeping. It is a part of human development. And when you fail to nurture that very important part of human development, a lot of harm can happen. Yeah. Right? If Godwin had taken the time, if he didn't treat her like an experiment, but as a person, as a human being, to educate her on sex, on...
And this is a movie you're talking about. Just remember that. We're talking about a movie, I'm pretty sure. So just remember that. It's a movie. Not real. I don't know.
Another day and another bigot calling a Black, trans, and queer person a L. So I've been called a controversial person for stating that children are human beings. And because they're human beings...
No. You did not say that. You said children are beings. That's what you said. Weirdo.
They are also sexual beings. Ew. Because they have sexualities. And apparently that is predatory.
It is, for you to say.
To state facts, which is that children have sexualities just like adults have sexuality.
And I don't think that's untrue. Children do experience some type of sexuality. There's a reason why boys were touching my boobies under the table in kindergarten. There's a reason for that. Do I think you're the messenger for this? No. You don't have a degree in child psychology. You're just saying stuff. You read an article about it and you're saying stuff. And also saying it in the weirdest way possible.
Apparently, it is controversial to state facts that if you don't think that children are beings, then you are against queer life. You are
Wait, what?
against.
Wait, what? So even though I said kids can have sexuality, I don't think they're inherently beings. I think they can be groomed into being beings. All the experiences I had as a young child that had to do with sexuality were not always of my consent. I'll tell you that much, which led into hypersexuality. You know, and that's happened to a lot of kids. The kids who were doing other things to other kids, hypersexuality, because they were also victimized. You can be groomed into being a being, but kids alone as themselves, as being who they are, usually are not coming out the woodwork just being sexual for no reason. I don't think you are anti-queer people if you think kids aren't like what?
Life. You are against human life because is very much a normal part of human life.
Adult human life.
Those who don't believe this is true are the same people who are legislating anti-trans bills.
No.
Who are legislating.
I don't think it's true that kids should, whatever he just said, I don't think it's true. I don't know what he said, but I don't think it's true. But I also think trans people should have rights, actually. I actually think trans people should have the most rights. So.
Against young people being able to start their gender affirming care journeys, stating that they're too young to know. They're too young to know. I knew that I was attracted to the same sex when I was 8 years old. I knew that I was not like the other girls at a very young age. I knew that I had sexual desires.
Mind you, he also was abused as a child. I'm not saying that's why he knew these things. I'm just saying hypersexuality can happen when you are abused as a child, and he was in fact abused as a child. Is he the most accurate narrator for this? No. He sees things only through his lens, and he thinks it's facts because it's through his lens, and it's hard for him to see things outside of himself. He can't see things outside of himself. He sees things only in himself.
And sexual attraction for other queer people at a very young age. And to deny me of my truth is to deny me of my personhood.
Who's doing that?
To deny young people of their sexualities, their sexual desires, and of being beings is in fact to deny them of their personhood.
Okay, so what do you want, Toya? I want him to say what he wants. What is he saying the solution to this is? Letting young children watch and allowing them to do that, to do what they see in the with each other, just whenever, wherever. Is that the society that you want to live in, Toya? Because I am just so curious. What to you is the solution to this problem? To this huge, ginormous problem that we're facing of kids who want to be doing stuff and they can't do stuff because we're saying no. Fuck out of here. Pervert.
Trying to find housing as a disabled person is a full-time job. I do not know.
The unemployed friend, you know. Housing when you're disabled is hard. Yes. Is it a full-time job? No, because you're not getting paid for it. But I can see how I can empathize with how hard it would be, especially if you have a mobility aid, how hard it can be to find housing that is accessible to you.
How I did this before while also working like a traditional job. I was a teacher for 4 years, working from...
Mind you, you're in a country though that I don't think is necessarily, I don't know what country he's in, but it's not in America, and I don't know if it's a third world country, but based on what he has said, it doesn't seem like it's known for its progressiveness. So I'm unsure how he's expecting what he expected. Like, you should have known this. You went there on purpose.
Like 7 a.m. to sometimes 7 p.m. at night, and still having to go house hunting. And now that I don't work, in the traditional job market anymore,
or at all,
I am still working full time, taking care of myself, which includes looking for a place to live. From going through ads and trying to filter out places that are accessible to me, that meet my needs, that are within my budget, to calling real estate agents, calling property
board. He just talked too much.
Making another video begging y'all to please help us meet our goal. We haven't received any new donations in 6 days, and we still have a little bit over $1,200 left to raise to meet our house.
You guys, would you watch it if I made a video where I donated to GoFundMe's that aren't Toya? I want to make a video where I just like donate to, like, maybe I take $100 and donate $10 to 10 different GoFundMe's that are not Toya. I think that'd be a fun video.
This housing search has not been fruitful. Today we visited another place and it was infested with cockroaches, and I was like, been there, done that, not going back. I'm like, damn, y'all didn't even bother.
He's the cockroach.
Like, getting the place, you know, exterminated before people showed up to visit. Like, that already to me is a big red flag. Like, the roaches were crawling on the mattress.
Roaches in the cereal?
The roaches were crawling out of every crack and crevice in that apartment. The roaches were crawling from the cracks in the couch.
I can't hear this, sorry. It makes my speech.
And I need people to understand that the very people that dogged me out were the same people that I was helping. It was a sex worker that was housing you. I housed people all throughout the pandemic. It was a sex worker that was paying your rent. I paid for multiple people's rent. Thousands of dollars I gave away to pay people's rent. Doing what? Financial domination. I was taking money from the rich folk, from white folk, and distributing it to poor Black trans people. But because
of that, you cannot say anything bad about him ever, you guys. Don't say anything bad about him ever, because he gave money to people once.
Many people in our communities are deeply indoctrinated into white supremacy, evangelical. So I'm withholding rent because we need money to cover our move, and I can't afford to pay rent.
Does that work? Wherever he is, does that work? You can just be like, I'm not paying you. Sorry. Oh, I can't afford it. Oh, I can't afford it. Sorry, thanks. I'm still gonna stay here though, but I cannot afford to, so I'm not gonna pay you. But I am gonna live here, and I am gonna find a new place though with the money that I could be paying you rent with, but I'm not gonna pay you. So tough luck.
While also still figuring out where we're gonna live. Also, the apartment, the wheelchair elevator has been broken since the beginning of my lease, when it was promised that it would be fixed. The only reason I got the apartment in the beginning was because of this wheelchair elevator. But the property manager has been, you know, arguing with me. Well, it's not an argument because I just shut it down.
Because you owe them rent money.
Real quick, I'm just like, this is discrimination. You cannot be upset with me for a problem that was there before you rented me the place. You rented the place under false promises, under false pretenses, and made false promises. So how is that my fault? But what I want to say is, somebody that isn't even making a lot of money, you're a property manager, you're going so hard defending the property owner who bought the place and decided to start renting the place, knowing that certain things in the building were not.
He's just doing his job, man.
Fixed.
He's just doing his job.
And you're trying to blame it on me instead of the owner, instead of, you know, the contractors who have yet to fix the wheelchair elevators. But when it comes down to it, you rented me the place under false pretenses. And yeah, I have every right to withhold my rent. I have every right to, you know, pursue legal action.
Me excited to be back on T, also with me writing in pain because 3-month shot is so painful. So he's going back on T, which is gonna make him really annoying. But also, what does 3-month shot mean? When you go on T, it's a 3-month shot. Does it hurt or something?
Leaving the U.S. has shown me that reciprocity is possible. When I was in the U.S., I was constantly giving to my community, but not receiving in return. But here, for example, my friend Seba went out to schedule a doctor's appointment for me because I'm not able to do it today because my spoons are low. So already I'm receiving support from her.
Period.
While she's out scheduling my appointment, she meets a woman, she needs help paying for an Uber. So Seba doesn't have money to pay for the Uber, but I have money to pay for the Uber. So she asks me to send her the money to give to this woman so the woman can get an Uber, and I do so. And that,
aren't you trying to buy a place?
in a nutshell, perfectly exemplifies what community looks like. No, I don't know this woman, but she needs care, and I'm giving it to her willingly.
Philanthropist. Toya, the philanthropist. Wow. I love to see it. Love to see it.
And Seba, you know, we started living together this year. And she's already showed up for me in so many different ways.
Dating and in love.
But I've also showed up for her in so many ways, supporting her in her healing. So
whenever I watch these videos, I get reminded I've seen both of their knickknacks and ning nongs. I've seen him suck on Toya on Seba's ding dong tone.
Supporting her through an accountability process. Also, anytime I go over a large bump, the wheel pops off. And on multiple occasions, people just on the street have come to help me repair the wheel so I could be on my way. Seba literally brought my wheel to a store, and the guy just fixed the wheel for us for free so that I can continue going on my way. That is community. That is community in a nutshell. You don't have to know me. You don't have to like me. But we all understand that we all need.
And I think these are things that would happen in the States too. People who help people who are in wheelchairs. People just don't like you because you say weird stuff.
Things to survive.
People say weird stuff.
Nobody's interrogating me. No one's berating me. No one's judging me. No one's surveilling me. And reciprocity means that no one is exploiting me for their needs to be met. And I know that when I'm helping others, I will also get help in return. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to come from that same person, but at least I know that I live in a community where there are people that are...
Guys, we live in a society.
And you can like...
Because then he says things later on that are like, people are so mean to me all the time. People will never pay attention to me. But then he's like, I love that people pay attention to me here. When I'm here, people see me. I've never been seen before like I'm seen when I'm here. But when I was in America, nobody saw me. And then 2 videos later, nobody ever looks at me. I've never been seen in my life. Nobody's even glanced my way before. Okay.
Yeah, I really love that episode from Lovecraft Country because it also is a reminder to me how much people hate like fat black people, especially if you are, you know, feminine or, you know, born female, etc., etc. It made me think about how so many, for example, wealthy musicians like Lizzo, who are fat black women, as soon as they get to a certain status or level, they start to lose weight. Because thinness is also associated with wealth and fatness with poverty. And even though
not just like, ooh, my brain, I think this is true. Yeah, it is true. When you're poor, you don't have the money to make better choices. Oftentimes, you can only afford the easy, cheap, highly processed option. So it's harder to make the right choices when you're bigger. I mean, what? I mean, it's harder to make the right choices when you're poor because you can't. You physically can't. You usually don't have enough money, or you're too tired from working all the time to make the right option, or to make the... Not right. There's no right or wrong option. To make the option that is best for your body.
Even if I have the money to pay for the apartment, people just on my appearance alone will deny me, you know, a home. Don't matter if I can actually pay for it.
Solution? Get a retwist.
I saw a great video that said that before capitalism, if somebody was wealthy in a community, let's say you are the best tomato grower in the community, you show your wealth by giving it away. All of the surplus tomatoes that you were able to grow that you don't need yourself, you give it to others. I don't hoard knowledge. I don't hoard food. I don't hoard money. I don't hoard resources. I gave all of those things away to my community. But people who love to bring up, you know, my abundance are envious because if they were in my position, they would hoard those things.
Yeah.
And they do hoard those things. Y'all desperately want me to be.
If you have a savings account, you are hoarding your wealth. You are hoarding abundance. Give the money away. Why do you have a savings account? For what? Why do you have a savings? Huh? Give it to Toya right now. Right now.
Anti-materialistic. I'm not anti-materialistic. We live in a material world. I need material resources to survive. I need food. I need shelter. I need education. But the difference between me and a lot of people that love to criticize me is I'm not hoarding those things. I'm not hoarding wisdom and resources. I'm sharing it. I'm actively giving it away.
Okay, notice how people are talking about physical things, okay, like money, and you're talking about a thought. You're like, I'm not hoarding anything. I had an idea and I said it to you. How am I hoarding anything? I'm doing the same thing as these philanthropists who give money out because guess what? I had a thought and I said it. But
if you are a multi-marginalized person, I would never ever recommend that you go to social workers for support because they are quite literally the cops. Last year, I lived with somebody who I learned went to social work school. They never became a social worker, but they were indoctrinated into that system and they human trafficked me.
And I would love to know what he considers human trafficking. Because I have a feeling it's not going to be actual human trafficking. I think if he was actually human trafficked, it would have been brought up way before this point. I think he saw a video about human trafficking and he was like, wait, I can say that happened to me. I can say, wait, no. I have not seen this video before. Let me guess what he's considering human trafficking. I think he's going to say that if you are using his labor as a multi-marginalized person and not paying him for that labor, you are human trafficking him. If you are using his resources and not helping him also or giving him anything in return, you are human trafficking him. What else could it mean? Drop your comments below. What do you think he thinks human trafficking is? Not paying him for labor. That's human trafficking. I promise you. I promise you. Also, shout out to the social workers. I know a lot of social workers who literally just like care about helping people. Like that's what they want to do. I thought about being a social worker before because I just genuinely do like helping people. Like I don't think social workers are cops. I think they want to help people.
Human trafficked me when I tried to escape their abuse after they exploited my domestic labor. They tried to call the cops on me and have me captured. And then this year.
And who's a goat? Me. Baba. I was right.
I reached out to a disability content creator named Penelope to share my crowd funds so that I could raise money because I was homeless.
Okay.
And I told her specifically not to share my page because I was being abused and I did not want my abusers to find me. Okay. And what did she do? She got a message from one of my abusers and then she shared their wanted poster of me on her page and then victimized herself, saying that I tricked her, that I manipulated her, that I wasn't who I said I was.
You can't be like, hey, can you tell people to donate to me, but don't tell them who I am. Don't let them know who they're donating to. Just tell them they need to donate to me. Don't tell them who I am though, please. Don't ask me any questions either. I swear I'm a good guy. Just don't ask around. Don't ask around about me. Just tell people to donate, please.
You are the cops.
Oh no.
You are all the cops. All of you social workers are the cops. You exploit multi-marginalized people to build your careers, to build your platforms for yourselves.
I think they just help those people, right? Like, I don't think they're exploiting people by helping them. If that's the case, then doctors exploit sick people. If that's the case, then what? Bank tellers exploit people who have money. You can say that about literally any job.
And you love playing white savior. You love being paternalistic and surveilling us and, you know, telling us how we should survive your abuse, how we should survive the systems that you are complicit in upholding. As a sex worker, as a human trafficking survivor, as a domestic violence survivor, I do not trust social workers. If you are a I saw this video or post that said, you don't know any trafficking survivors because you're too busy calling her a crackhead and recording her on the street. And boy, Ain't that the truth?
Not for you, though.
Because how did people respond to me as I shared about my experience being trafficked on the internet? They would take my videos and they would disparage me, and they would take my content and, you know, make memes about them, etc., etc. People are too busy being complicit in the abuse. That's why they don't know any human trafficking survivors. That's why they'll never be in community with human trafficking survivors, because when we share our stories, people choose to not believe us, to humiliate us.
Mind you, he's saying because they exploited his labor that makes him a human trafficking survivor. Mind you, that's what he's talking about. He has not been human trafficked.
Disparage us, to smear us, to isolate us, to stalk us, to further harm us. The same people claiming.
In the interview I did with Blaze Sparta, Toya's former friend, they talked about how they think Toya is just hopping onto any bandwagon. This is just paraphrasing. Hopping onto any bandwagon or any like new trending topic to get views and to attach himself to an identity that's not really his. And I think this is a perfect example of that. Also, I paused on a very crazy face, but this is a perfect example of that. He's like, wait, if I say I'm a human trafficking if I say I'm a human trafficking victim, people can't be mean to me anymore because I have survived human trafficking.
To care about liberation for all. You're too busy making fun of survivors of complex trauma. I saw this video,
and I think that's enough for today. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, or else I will fart in your pillow tonight. Don't forget to hype the video, and thank you again to my patrons over on Patreon. If you'd also like to support me on Patreon, it's patreon.com/AJTalksAlot. If you want to follow me on Instagram because you love me and stuff, it's at AJTalksAlot. And like I said, don't forget to hype the video, like it, subscribe to it. Yeah, or you're victimizing me. Also, don't forget to pre-save my song 25, which is coming out on November 23rd, my birthday, which is so soon. This video is going to come out when? Monday. So this video comes out on Monday the 17th, which means it'll be out next Sunday. Well, on my birthday. But okay, at the end of this video, I'm going to play a sample of that song, okay? Bye.
Come on.